Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of In the Highs and Lows. I am so excited for today's episode. I have Miss Leanne with me today. She is someone that has really crept into my heart very quickly. We served together at the youth team. Something that I adore about her, she loves deeply. She serves wholeheartedly, and she is there when you need her any time of day. So yeah, thank you so much, Leanne. Welcome.
Thank
I am
you for
so
having
excited
me.
to have you here today.
I'm excited. Thank you for the very nice intro. It was
So
quite
guys,
cute.
with Leanne, I messaged her a week ago and I was like, listen, I'm kind of telling you, but I'm also asking you to be polite, like out of a polite manner, but I need you to be on the podcast, I believe. And she luckily said yes, but I had this whole speech prepared in my head if she said no. But yeah, I'm so excited for today. Today we're going to speak behind the scenes, behind the mic. Youth is not just fun and games. Because we serve together, I think many people see, obviously on a Sunday, they see the youth and they think we just pitch up and it's jam black.
See all of the videos.
Exactly, the visuals, the everything, the icebreakers, and there's mos nou maklik, man. But I think there's so many things that goes on behind the scenes, spiritually, emotionally, physically, alles. So yeah, that is what we're going to be speaking
Very
about today.
excited.
But I want to start off with an icebreaker. And that is, let me just read it to you. If you had a theme song for your youth ministry journey, what would it be and why?
If there's a song that sings about fooling everyone, I'm thinking it would be that. But if I think more seriously, it would definitely be Goodness of God. Just it's my 4th year now, and just constantly seeing how He's there, and
Yeah.
even when you're weak, He's strong.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the teenagers grow. So yes, but on a less serious note, definitely just like figuring it out. So I don't know, you just sang that we're all in this together.
Yes, that is my theme song. I think
I snap on that, but yeah, but God's
if you ask
goodness.
the Exco team, they would probably say like we're all in this. That is something like you fake it till you make it sometimes, but also like you said, by the grace and the goodness of God.
And just seeing the teenagers grow and seeing how, even though you don't know what you're doing, God's goodness really carries. And it says that all my life you have been faithful, and apart from all my life, my whole youth ministry journey, you can see how faithful God is. So definitely that, yes.
That is really good. You know me, I'm here on the all in this together. You luckily carry the goodness of God. I want to start with, what do you think people think happens behind the scenes? Have you experienced someone asking you that? Have you experienced someone saying, "Ja, Leanne is seker maklik," or what do you think people think?
If I think in ministry in general, so I'm in full-time ministry, I think the most common thing is that, but you only work on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So what do you do during the week? So I think that's a lot with youth ministry as well. Yeah. And it's teenagers, so I think the perceived idea is, ach maar, they're only a teenager.
Yeah.
How difficult can it be? So I think that's the most common. You either do nothing or it's, ach maar, why are you struggling?
Yeah, you don't know. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to moan.
Yeah, what is this? What, like, it's teenagers.
This is the life to live, man. Come on.
Yeah, they don't have any worries in the world. Yeah.
Let's speak about what actually happens behind the scenes. Like, what goes into the prep work for a Sunday service for us as a youth team. And you are our admin lady, so you do the hardcore difficult planning stuff.
Like I said, I just fool. No, I'm joking. I think so in our context, we have a whole youth service, so it's very much the same as a main service in church. So we have worship, we have an icebreaker. Well, they don't do that in church, but we have an icebreaker and there's announcements. So I think it's very much copy-paste from a main service. So having the volunteers in place for someone to do announcements or to do visuals, to do sound, having someone preach, having
Yeah.
someone SO, spiritual oversight, for a Sunday.
Exactly.
And then something that we also do is small group discussion, so making sure that people are prepped. And I think the big difference is that a lot of our volunteers are also teenagers, so having that logistical thing of, are you able to be here? Is your parents coming to church? Will you be able to serve? How can we help you? So all of the planning, and just I think making sure that everybody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. That is more like the logistical side.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people don't really realize the spiritual weight that comes along with it as well. Because many people are like, man, you're hanging with the teens. Like, you're
Yeah.
hanging with the teens. So let's speak about, like, the spiritual. Because we also have our own lives. We also have our own emotional and spiritual and physical battles as well. So I think let's speak about that, like the spiritual preparation, but also the weight of carrying that. I think because the teenagers do come to us with their things as well. So how do you experience that?
I think when I first moved into ministry, I didn't realize the spiritual weight that really comes with that. In the sense of, there's a lot of teenagers that come to you and they speak about something, they open up to you, and then nobody else knows about this. So they're almost to a certain extent opening that up for you to fight that battle with them.
Yes.
And praise God we have him.
Yeah.
But I think just for teenagers, there's so much uncertainty, and the world tells you everything, and social media tells you this. So for you to be that, okay, but this is what scripture says, and have you prayed about it? I think it takes a lot more of you than people realize. And if you're not filled, if my personal devotion or my prayer life isn't going well, or I'm lacking or slacking in that, you can see the difference it makes. I can't tell people, hey, go to God and pray about it, if I don't pray about it. Exactly. So I think the spiritual weight in that, it's almost like they're your children. So you're like, oh, this is my teenagers, and these are my kids, and having them, helping them grow is such a privilege. But you can feel that and I think something that you and I are both like, we feel what teenagers feel. Exactly. So that overflows into your personal life as well. Because if you're coming home, you're like, I had a tough chat with a teenager. That sits with you, and you have to almost like intercede on behalf of them. For oorwinning. What is the word I'm looking for?
Oorwinnen for, oh my gosh.
For winning.
Yeah.
Whatever the word is, but
oh my gosh, oorwinning.
My brain just went. But you have to intercede and have to fight the battle for freedom and for
overcoming.
Yes.
Overcoming is the word.
Whatever they are fighting. And I think I think the way that comes just generally moving with teenagers is like you instantly feel that, sure, okay, I'm responsible for these teenagers. If they walk out of a Sunday service, or if they walk out of here after 5 years of high school, do they know God? Can they hear his voice? Do they know what they're called for? And I think it can sound, just have them read the Bible. No. So, and even on a Sunday, I think there's a lot of prayer that goes into praying about, where are the teenagers? What do they need to hear? What is applicable to them? How can we fight this worldly scenario? But world says it's okay, but what does scripture say? Exactly. Having that constant
but also warfare, not just like Bible bashing them and pushing it down their throats.
But that warfare, like, we are constantly going against what the world tells you, or no, but it's okay to, and then you're like, no, it's not. So having that fight, it puts a lot of weight.
And sometimes being the bad guys as well. The bearer of bad news.
Like, can you not?
Exactly. I think something that I really want to speak about as well is just us as leaders as well. If I'm thinking of, there was a time where emotionally I was a zero on a contract. And then the alarm gaan af in die oggend and you need to wake up and
really don't want to
at church 7:30, 8 o'clock for the meetings. And then I'm like, Lord, how am I going to do this? I feel so empty. I feel so numb. I feel so emotionally drained. Like, how am I going to pitch up for these teens? And so, y'all, how do you deal with it when you are just a zero on a contract? Like, you are emotionally nowhere to be found. You are numb. You are just going through the most. How do we pitch up? How do you pitch up then? Like, what does that process look for you? Because that's a mental, for me personally, I need to mentally fight that and be like, I need to tell myself, you are going to have to feel better now. It is 3 hours, then you're done. But everyone does it differently. Everyone fights that differently. So how do you fight that?
I think it's very much the same for almost making that switch of like, you really cannot feel what you feel now. But the guard in that is, you can't feel it now, but you have to do it eventually. Otherwise, you're tapping out for a long run and not only for now. So I think the big difference for me, driving to church or driving somewhere, having that, well, obviously at home as well, but having that just worship time, being like, listen, God, I really cannot do this out of my own, which is also a good place to be. I mean, being like, okay, God, if it's not going to be you, it's not going to be anything. So just having that surrender. But like you said, there is a mental switch. I cannot do this now. Like, very recently, I had a chat with one of the teenagers, and she faced something that I literally went through the week before. And I was like, yo, God, what is happening? But I think also with growing and with having more time in ministry, you learn how to just almost pause on what you're feeling. So mentally, that's a switch. And then a big thing for me is having that worship. But I think the beauty of us having a team is also like, I've had conversations with other leaders, even with you, but I'm like, I have nothing to give. I really need you to cover me. And that makes a difference. Like, doing things alone versus being like, hey, I can't, please fill the gap. So that also helps, having the team filling the gap, trusting with, I really need you to do this on behalf of me because I can't.
That's really good. You live really close to church, so you've got like 400 meters.
Yeah, I have like a half a song.
I have at least a good 15 minutes. That is something I also do.
You sit in the car and you're like...
Exactly. There are mornings where I grab my coffee and I literally feel like a zombie, but I'm like... My mom once told me, I was in a situation at university, and she said, you need to have the faith to just stand up and walk now. And I remember sitting there and I was like, I don't have the faith to stand up and walk right now. I can do the physical act of standing up and walking, but I don't have the faith for that. And now she was like, I'm acting now in for you. Like, I've got the faith for you. You literally just need to stand up and walk. And by just doing that action, by literally just standing up and walking, activated my faith.
I think that's a beauty as well, like being, I really can't do this, and while you do it very happens. Blind faith, it happens. Or when you encourage someone that's going through something that you're facing, you're like, oh, maybe it's not that bad. It's almost like you get encouraged more by being obedient, because we are called to the teenagers. So if you constantly walk in that obedience, God is faithful to give you what you need, even in that moment. Like, I've sat where I was so sick, I'm like, I can't lift my head, and I pitched because I had to preach at youth. I remember very well, like sitting in before the service, I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I was like, listen, God, if anything,
you need to, like,
just help me.
I don't know what I'm doing. Activate.
And I was 100% fine the whole time I preached, the whole time I ministered. And the moment when it was done, I got home, I crashed, and I was like, okay, God really, like, he's faithful. Like, you know that the, like, Holy Spirit activates.
And also, like, I loved what you said, having the team around you, just having that vulnerability of being like, listen, I'm not feeling it right now, whether it is physically, whether it is emotionally, whether it's mentally. Just be like, girl,
help,
like,
intercede,
pray for me, or just be there for me. If you see I'm switching off, just because I think many people think like ons gaan net, die gaat
Yeah,
ons.
woohoo.
But
Running
there
on.
are many times where we make eye contact while she's preaching or while I'm doing announcements, and we are just like,
Yeah.
and
You've
that
got
is
this,
exactly
it's
that's
okay.
all you need is just
Mm.
just someone to be on the same
Wavelength.
wavelength of you. But yeah, that is. I want to just move into the next point of course, we walk with the teenagers. We feel with them.
Mm.
We experience things with them. The issues they go through, the highs, the lows that they
Mm.
go through. How do you? I want to almost say like, not switch, but what's the right word between being a mentor and a friend, or a mentor, leader slash
Just listening, being
listening?
a friend.
Yes, because that is something that can
It's a good question.
that is a boundary that can easily be
Mm.
stepped over, because we are firstly in the same age
Category.
category. Ons is ouder, but like
Yeah.
we are
We're
very
not
close. It
that
can
old.
easily feel like just one of our friends.
Mm.
But also, how do we then put in that boundary of, okay, I'm now we're the leaders, or we are just now the mentors here. This is hoe dit gaan nou wees.
Yeah.
Because we never want to pull this leader card. We never want to do that. So yeah, how do you do that?
That's a good question. I think I'm still figuring that out. So there's
Mhm.
definitely a place where some of the teenagers, they become your friends.
Mhm,
Like you
definitely.
walk so closely, but you have
If
that
I think
with
of Sarah.
Sarah, or if I even think about some of my Highfield girls,
Yeah.
like they become friends.
Yeah.
So I think that the number one boundary for me is I don't become that with the guys. That's obviously a first. You
Yeah.
don't do that. That gets grey quickly. But I think there is a place where you sometimes you have to be firm with them, being like,
Yes.
listen, no, you cannot do this. So there is a place where simply just putting your foot down, being like, not happening.
Yeah.
So, but that's something that almost you need to state from the beginning. If they start, like if you start and you're like, oh, I'm your friend, not your leader, you're going to fight with that the whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas if you start as a mentor or a leader, naturally it will grow into friendship,
Mhm.
but they still know where they stand with you. So there's been tough times where I sat with a teenager and we're friends and in their house and we're like doing life together.
Yeah.
And when they come to me, whatever they're doing, you have to be like, I really love you. Because there's the beauty in sharing truth in love
Exactly.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like, I tell you to do this. You're going to be like, I really love you. That's why I'm saying this to you.
Exactly.
That's why I'm telling you, playing with fire. So I think we opt from the beginning. And then there has been times where you're going to be like, you have to be like, you are listening to me now.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about, which is difficult.
Yeah.
But it also depends on situations. There are some of the teenagers that will never allow you to be close to them just
That's
because
also-
of.
That is another whole situation.
So some of them will just will never allow you, and some of them are going to be open for you to live life
Mhm.
with them. And that almost to a certain extent makes it easier
Yeah.
to speak into life if
Exactly.
you have this like wall sitting in front of you.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm a very relational person.
Mm.
And you as well. So it's sometimes very difficult for me to establish that. Like, am I now being your friend?
Mm.
Am I being your mentor? Am I relating to you? And that was actually the reason why still too scared to go into a connect group with the girls, just because I'm scared that I get too attached and then it's difficult for me to put down boundaries.
Mm. That's why I said, like, since from the beginning, if you start a connect or you start a journey with someone, that needs to be there from the beginning. And you're not going to be cold towards them, but you are going to be like, this is it. A very good example is putting your phone off when you are on leave or resting, just not always being available, because we also want to teach the teenagers to find answers for themselves.
Exactly.
Going back to the word, going back to God. Sometimes even us as leaders, but we almost replace finding answers or going to scripture because but we have someone who can answer the questions for us. So having that almost you're not becoming their ChatGPT.
Exactly.
You're helping them grow.
Tell me the moment where you found your love, where everything started for you, your heart for youth, for young girls. How did that happen? I mean, you're so young.
Yes.
You are
22.
22, guys.
You're not that old, Johnny.
2 years. Anyway, so no, I'm not that old. 22, and you've been in ministry since after school, right?
22.
Wow.
Well, since 2022.
So where did that happen? Like, where did you realize your love for the youth, for the youngsters?
Next generation. That's a very loaded question, but I think when I was in high school, I had incredible leaders who I knew they were always available. Like if I am really going through it, I can just pick up a phone and call someone and ask them to help or ask them just to sit. So I had a youth leader when I was in high school, and so we had youth on a Friday. Every Friday night after church, we will sit in front of the stage and we'll just chat, like what happened in your week, what happened in my week. And that was so beautiful because I knew whatever is happening, and even if I didn't want to tell the leader that, as the conversation goes, something will open up. It just happens. And we are very good friends now. But that carried me through a lot of things in my life, through my parents being divorced, through me being sick, through lockdown. And I think, so I knew I wanted to go into ministry or called to ministry when I was 15 years old.
Sure.
Which is very young. But it makes it easier, firstly, knowing that you are called. But like having the one person you can go to and having the constant of youth, I think that's something that I feel very strongly about, is consistency, because I knew if everything in my week just goes shambles, the one constant, the one safe space. I think that was my heart going into ministry, just being that safe space for someone. If you're going through it, if you are, you just need someone to vent to, they know there's someone. So my teenagers know you can call me any time of the day. At any point, I will answer. I will be there for you. I will drop anything to be there for you, because that is something that I experienced. And as teenagers, you go through so much in identity and who am I? Who do I want to be? What do I want to study? This is what social media is telling me. And just having that almost like, not voice of truth, because that is God, but having that, let's just sit, let's chat through things.
Debrief?
Let me just, I have shoulders, I have ears. Let me come to me when you want to cry. So I think just being that constant in someone's life makes a big difference, and that's my heart.
Yeah.
My
I think for me, I knew I was going to probably go into some sort of ministry field. More the missions, more the kids. That is truly my heart, is if I can move somewhere in Africa.
Oh, wow.
I'll be a happy gal. Like, take me to Nigeria, Uganda, take me somewhere, and I could just be with the kids. But I did my internship year after I matriculated in 2020 when COVID hit. And then I did did my internship at Every Nation Willows, and they slotted me into the youth. Never thought I would want to go into youth someday.
Or go back, for that matter.
Exactly. So then obviously started studying and was out of ministry just for a short term. And then last year, middle last year, just that stirring in your heart, and you're like, I know I need to go back, but I am running and I can't do. I'm like, no,
Jonah,
thank you.
No, thank you.
Literally, I was like, no, thank you. I do not want to do this. Lord, Leanne is there, Andrew is there, Martha is there. Like, they are more than capable. Like, me, I will go to the kids, because I still served with the kids ministry with the babies, the conquerors. And then I remember there was one day where I sat with my mom, and this job opportunity came up, and I just felt like the Lord is like, I am showing you all the signs that you need to go back. My hardloop meisie. And I had a sit down coffee with Linry and Jono, and they were like, cool. And I was like, and they asked me, where do I want to serve? And I said, no, probably like events or production, because I love doing that as well. And Jono said, we need no, it was actually Martha that said, we need someone at youth. And I'm like, no, thank you. Like, I'm
Yeah,
fine. And look at me now. Now I'm part of the Exco team, and I am enjoying it so much. I think.
But it's not like the joy of seeing someone encounter that truth. Like,
definitely.
I think that's something that fuels me even when I like, why am I doing this again?
Exactly.
But just seeing the teenagers just snapped it, and you're like, look at the change. Like, if
you can literally see the penny dropping.
Yeah, you can literally
Sometimes
see that,
in their
and
eyes,
then
you're like,
and then
okay.
all that you need to do is you need to almost like guardrail them, because they will run with the gospel because they that dropped, and I think that makes our job easier when they do it.
Exactly. I think, but I also want to add on what makes it easier is the team we have. We have such a lovely team.
Very different dynamics, personalities.
All 5 of us, we are 5. So it's myself, Leanne, Andrew, Johnny, and Martha. And we are 5 completely different people. But we complement each other. I feel like we complement each other so well.
It'll take like 3 or 4 months to get there.
No, what do you mean 3 or 4 months?
I think that maybe
maybe
like a term. It took us a term to just be like, okay, this is what
exactly
what
like
you
exactly
you say this, and this is what your heart is.
I think our team also has such a big influence of how it is, because they're the people that catch you when things get tough, wanneer die tekkie die teer slaan, they're there. And I think we have such an amazing team. I think we are 5 completely different people. We've got myself, Leanne, we've got Johnny, we've got Andrew, and then we've got Martha. And Martha's the mama bear. She is the safe haven. She is she's just the lover. Then you've got the 2 sis. Then you've got us. We are always ready to fight. And not in a bad way, but we, in Afrikaans you would say, ons is nie op ons bek geval nie.
Yeah, we don't, if something's wrong with.
Exactly. And then we've got,
you'll know.
Andrew's gonna hate this, but then we've got Pastor Andrew. He is our leader. He hates it when we call him that. But that is just our way of hitting a nerve. And then we've got Johnny. Johnny, he is the brother. He is the peacemaker. He is the middleman. So we're all 5. We are so different, but we complement each other so well.
I think I can snap on that. Like in High Fight, it was 3 years. Out of the 3 years, 2 of them were me leading alone and
not having anyone under me.
It wasn't me. Wow. And then we got an intern, but so I think just having that team and having someone to bounce your ideas off and being like, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm experiencing. What do you think? So
yes, the
I love our
aspects
team.
that each brings. I mean, you got the creativity side. We've got
I'm definitely not that.
The knowledge and the and the admin and the organizer. Martha organizes something so well. She is the one that organizes the events. Andrew knowledge. He is just so wise, and that man.
He knows what he's doing.
I think everyone has a whole lot of wisdom, but that man, he's just amazing. Then we've got Leanne. She is admin. And just there, sometimes you just, like now before we were recording, she's like, the mama bear is now going to kick in and you're going to eat your croissant. So the caring side and the loving side of you is just amazing. And then
thank you.
I love being creative. So
the vibes.
The vibes. I love designing the posters. I love designing the slideshows.
I think I have a biased opinion, but our slides and everything is definitely better than main service. But don't put that in. Let's not
no,
do
that I'm keeping in. That is
it's not. It's not.
Nee, so I love the aspect that everyone brings, and like we were speaking before, when when we wake up on a Sunday morning and we're like, we cannot do this anymore. I know I'm gonna get to church and someone is gonna. And the thing is, we know each other so well. If I think of that, I think of there was one morning I got to church and Martha looked at me and she's like, walk with me. And I'm like, to where? And she's like, we're gonna go grab a coffee. And she knew instantly by just looking at me. So yeah, I love our team so much. I think that is something that makes this youth journey, this youth ministry,
And I think
just so much more enjoyable. Is that we get along so well. We do have our ups and downs. We do have our bickering, but then on a Monday we're gonna get to the exco meeting and we're gonna sort it out. We're not scared to sort it. We know that we need to sort it out.
Even though we are
unity
that
is
different,
a big thing.
Yeah, that's what I want to say now. Like, even though we are that different, the unity within the team since the beginning has been so evident. I mean, we see it even overflow into the youth. So, yeah.
That is,
we figure each other out, and we figure out what we're doing. Like, we're all in this together.
Literally, that's why the theme song is we're all in this. Letterlijk.
Maybe you should change the name of the podcast.
Highs and lows, you weet. Still in the highs and lows.
This episode, yeah.
Yes, we can make that our slogan. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Mikey, by just landing this plane, I think if you can tell me one thing that surprised you of the youth ministry, one thing, what surprises you? What surprised you when you walked into this youth ministry? You're like, wow, I did not expect that.
By Willows or in general?
Well, I think now at Willows, because that's where we're serving now.
Sure. I think the team dynamics is a big thing, but also just seeing how deep friendships are formed within us as team, but also within the teenagers.
Yes.
There's some of the teenagers that's like peas in a pot. You don't see the one without the other.
Exactly.
And it's so beautiful to see. But I think, the general thing that surprises me is, not surprises me, I mean, you expect it, but how fast, how deeply they get into your heart. Like,
so fun, huh?
It's like this, and you're like, oh, I can't, like, like I said, the mama bear
exactly
aspect, but just having that deep love, deep compassion, deep care for the teenagers. And even, I remember we went on a youth mission. I took the teenagers last year to Namibia, and the one thing I prayed for was like, God, I want to feel what you feel, like break my heart for what breaks yours. Like, if you ever wonder if God answers prayers, there's definitely certain prayers that he answers quicker. But just seeing, experiencing how he loves the teenagers, that is something that I didn't know that I would experience that deeply. And I think, but it's beautiful to see.
That's really good. I want to snap on what you said about them creeping into your heart, but also the team creeping. I think that is something that,
and also how well they know you.
Like
they pick up look at you and be like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "What do you mean I'm okay?"
There was one Friday evening when we had our first Fridays. One of the youth girls, she just came and she just held my hand, and I'm like, what? So she says, I can see in Ita's fout, like, are you okay? And I'm like, wow, like, I did not think that
you care about me.
You care about me? Like, it's a two-way street. Like, I love this. But your friend, I really appreciate you being here today with me.
Thank you. It was fun.
I loved it. Like, I loved sharing, bringing you into this area of my life as well.
It's like
I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your testimony, your story. So, guys, I really want to encourage all the youth leaders out there. Get
all in this together.
We're all we're all in this together. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Be open, because we all have our highs and lows. We all have our times where we want to tap out. We all have our times where we feel like we're burnt out and we're done. Be ready, be open, be honest, be vulnerable. Go to your other team members and be like, I cannot do this today, pray.
If you don't have a team, find a team. Even if it's just people praying for you.
Literally, even if it's just a healthy, good community.
Yeah.
But also, guys, just enjoy it. Don't see it as work. This is a calling. This is purpose. This is not a job. This is really your heart needs to be in it. So I really encourage you guys to go sit at the Lord's feet and just ask Him to bring that love back to you. And it's fine to be open and vulnerable and be like, I lost it. But yeah, just sit at the Lord's feet, find a good team, be open, honest, and vulnerable. But I really hope that this episode inspired you guys, taught you guys something. It certainly dropped something back in my heart about the love for youth and love of serving. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.